microphones out here. Any takers? First out of the barrel. I guess I can warm things up with one what we got from Facebook. And this is from a deployed soldier, just posted on Facebook before we even started. He said, short-term and long-term priorities for the command and considering budgets, equipment, etc. Question mark. Long-term priorities for the command, considering budgets and equipment, what kind of...
You know, I think we've talked about a lot of that, but I would tell you that first of all, you can't react to a budget that we don't have yet, and so we continue to do the things we do today. We can continue to take advantage of the money that we have and do the job as well as we can. There's a reason why the Army has not validated or stated what they would do if certain cuts take place, because as soon as you say what they are, somebody's going to take that whether the cuts come or not. Somebody else will take advantage of that and say, okay, now I have a prioritization. Look, we're going to continue to do the mission we have. Our depots have work. We have reset missions across the country. We've got more than enough things that we know need to be done, and we will just continue through the priorities that we have, and we'll face each of those cuts as they come about. And if it's something that our systems cannot live with, then we'll fight those too. And we'll figure out what the best thing for all of us to do to move forward. So we're going to take care of the people. You know, one of the things that, again, from last night, the price of a soldier, the cost of a soldier has gone up 100% in the last 10 years. Since 2001, the cost per year of a soldier has doubled. And that's one of the things the Chief said. Right now, we expect our our benefits type packages will continue to rise between 7 and 11% a year. And that is unaffordable to keep a 490,000 man force. And so what the Chief wants to say is, again, it's not that we don't want to have the benefits and the packages are out there, but we've got to balance those versus the future and make sure that we're not going too far making ourselves unaffordable, because that's what you can end up doing. Right?
Okay, any questions out in the audience? Anyone? Everyone's got theirs. Cliff, I knew I could always count on you, buddy.
Hey, sir, Cliff Gordon from AMCOM. The Soldier for Life program you mentioned, is there somebody's task? I guess what I'm asking, is there somebody heading that up, or is it just something it's a thought process? Is the organization doing that? And if so, how do we get involved? And if not, do you need volunteers, et cetera, et cetera?
That's a good question. Right now, is what the Chief did is kind of roll this out during the AUSA, and it'll be kind of a theme for the next year. This is kind of what our theme will be, and we'll continue to roll out more pieces to it. And we will ask at different times for people to do different things. But it just the program isn't fully developed. I expect first or second quarter as we get past the new year. Right now, there's a lot of people on the staff doing it. A lot of it does have to do with some of this resiliency and other things. And we will need people to help with all different portions of this thing. But I'd say I've used this in town a couple of different times, and it resonates with the people. You know, right now, I think I told you last time, the Army's budget this year for unemployment to pay former soldiers unemployment is $550 million. Just think what each of your programs could do if they had that money back. If we didn't have soldiers, they got out that were unemployed, and we have to pay that for them. So that's what we owe them, is the capability to have those jobs where they're not. And right now, unemployment for former military personnel is about 14.5% versus the rest of the population that is running 8.5%. All right, so we've got a bunch of people out there that we need to ensure can't get a job.
Okay. When will Martin Road, west of Rideout, be completed four-way widening project?
And we asked Colonel Helms and some of the garrison guys to come to this, because I know a lot of the questions do tend to lean their direction, and so I appreciate you being here. And answer the questions.
I you a precise date, I'd probably just be lying to you because we don't know exactly. Like the estimate right now is probably about 18 months to 2 years. There's multiple things going on there though. So, you know, think of Martin Road not just as a segment, the piece that you have to drive through between Rideout and Gate 7, but actually as a corridor that takes you all the way out to wherever it is you're going. So we're spending a lot of time working with the state to think about the resourcing west of Zert Road as well. You've probably seen this up in the newspaper, the money's flowing in, they're starting the early parts of the project for Zert Road, so that's getting rolling. You've seen that the segment of Martin from Rideout out to Zert, they've done the grubbing and stuff, and that will continue to roll, but it will go, you know, about the pace of most road projects go. But then even the more important piece is how you deal with the bottleneck once you get through the Zert Road intersection, if you're heading out or if you're trying to come in the bottleneck, trying to get to that intersection. So there's still a lot of work to be done really to get that entire corridor fixed all the way out to 565 and then head on north and west beyond there. So I think what you're going to see, if you live in Madison City, you live, you know, in Coleman or Athens or parts, you know, north and west of the Arsenal, you're going to be experiencing road construction for quite a few years as the city and state and some of its federal dollars get that entire corridor fixed. So it's unfortunate if you live out there dealing with that, but it's good news that we've got the senior leadership, literally to the governor. I mean, the governor came here to do a press conference to respond to the direct interaction we've had with him and to announce funding rolling in for that corridor. So you're going to be dealing with that for a while. The piece that you see happening on the coast right now is probably a year and a half, 2 years away from being done.
Yeah, hold on, wait for a second. Those of you that just went over your 10-year thing, we hope to have it done by your 15-year pen. but you say that facetiously, but as John said, this isn't just what's right here on the Arsenal. There's a lot of other arteries that affect that. And Madison, you know, is kind of an enveloped city and grew faster than the structure, the road structures and networks around it could grow. And so there is more than just what gets you right on and off the Arsenal. The other one why I asked John to keep it is, many of you that come in Gate 9 recently saw a change. You saw it in the newspaper that the future home of Boeing on the big building right outside Gateway. And I'll ask John to comment a little bit on where we stand with that.
Okay, so you know, the private developer built the first building that you see there, the multi-story building. They basically built that at risk. It had not been leased, and then they spent a lot of time marketing and finally have got it leased out. That lease is not only for that building, but for 2 more essentially just like it. So you'll see one built parallel to Rideout Road to the east of that existing building, and then one to the north of that building is kind of a mirror image of it. So you'll have a 3-building campus there that will consolidate much of Boeing's Madison County presence. They are currently scattered amongst a lot of different facilities, to include Cummings Research Park, out in Intergraph and some other places, and so they're going to get out of all of those old buildings and consolidate into the 3 buildings there in the Gateway. A big part of that presence is actually not the work they do for the Army, but for NASA. So the work that they're doing for the Space Launch System will end up being located in there. And ultimately, despite the fact that those are relatively expensive buildings, I mean, those are Class A, pretty high lease cost buildings, they'll actually save quite a bit of money because the facilities they're in right now are just absorbing huge amounts of their budget for maintenance and things. So they're actually going to a more expensive lease, but saving literally millions per year in maintenance costs. And it puts them closer to the customer. So
with state-of-the-art facilities, they are being able to put into the facilities what they need that meets today's capabilities versus the capabilities in some of these buildings for IT and other things of 15 or 20 years ago.
Yeah, so impact to you. What you'll see in the next phase is obviously they've already started scraping the ground and they're building those other 2 buildings for Boeing. But the next kind of visible change will be putting in some of the retail facilities that'll be, if you're familiar with where the visitor center is there at Gate 9, that'll actually get torn down, so part of that footprint becomes retail, and that area around it, they're kind of running right parallel to Rideout Road, will become retail. It'll include some restaurants, ultimately there'll be some hotels going in there. There'll be other, when I say retail, things like maybe a CVS drugstore, dry cleaners, that type of retail. It's not going to be like the mall. You're not going to go to a dress barn in there. But it will provide you places that you can eat. And also, the 2 hotels ultimately built in there. One One will be probably relatively high-end above per diem rates. The other one is probably going to be intended to be per diem rates. So folks that are coming in to engage with you will have hotel options closer in than what they have right now if they're not able to get into our lodging on post. So you'll soon see that transformation begin. And so that's going to continue over the next year or so. And really the impetus behind that is Boeing signed this lease. Then getting somebody willing to come in and sign that first lease was critical, because that now kind of gets the ball rolling, and that'll provide the motivation to continue to build out the development. Now, what that also will force changes for us on Rideout Road. There's still a plan to move Gate 9, the actual gate structure, further south. What that does is frees up space so that they can have the entryways they need into the gateway. It also provides a lot more queuing space, so our traffic at the gates will have much less impact out on the interstate. Although it's gotten a lot better recently with some of the procedural changes we've made, there's still sometimes backups that have an impact on traffic coming off the interstate. By moving the gate further south, you'll essentially eliminate that impact to the interstate, so it'll become safer. There also ultimately still a plan to do some rerouting on Goss Road. So if you're up on that northern post on Goss Road, coming westbound and need to stay on post and come back down to the southern part of the installation, they'll be rerouted inside the fence line, so they'll actually be able to stay on post, not have to go out and do the crazy U-turn and come back through Gate 9. Ultimately, you'll be able to stay on Goss, plug in the ride out, and come on south, going back through the gate. So a number of changes that will continue there. We've gotten great feedback on adding the additional lane northbound on ride out. Seems like getting out of here at the end of the day is a heck of a lot better. And so you'll continue to see those kind of things. Unfortunately, we can't do it all at once. It's kind of a lot of different pieces, different projects that are getting funded and approved at different times. So you'll continue to see those kind of improvements over the next probably 2 to 3 years.
And the gateway overall is about 10 to 15-year project, close to 15 probably. Some of that will depend on people leasing facilities, but there have been others that have talked about leases that now that somebody's kind of broken the ice, we expect will move in. And in the meantime, our developer is doing a great job of putting that retail and taking care of some of those things that are going to go in either way around the facilities that are going to be built for others. So.
Since we're talking the retail piece a little bit, I know we got a question over here. We'll continue, sir. You probably, if you go down here to the Mills Road area, you see where we put the new CDC a couple years ago. Across the street from that, you see some construction. That's actually a Redstone Federal Credit Union branch. So they had a branch inside a NASA facility. They're going to close it down and be at this branch over here at the corner of Mills and Martin. And directly in front of that, closer to Martin Road, APs will soon start construction on a gas station, shopette, and it'll have a 3-venue food court inside of it. So for those of you that use the APs facilities, that'll be right there at the corner of Martin